Imagine waking up one day and realizing the heartbeat inside your chest no longer belongs to you. This is the story of Scot Pollard, a man who stood taller than most, a professional athlete who spent 11 seasons on the NBA, known for his energy, his humor, his hairstyles, and his strength. But off the court, the greatest battle wasn't another player, it was with his own heart. Today's story is one of the most beautiful, heartbreaking, and yet inspiring true stories I've come across. It's about a man who lost his own heart, but found a new one, and the family it once belonged to. A story of life after loss, of a mother's courage and a son hearing his father's heartbeat one more time. This is just not a medical miracle, it's a story about humanity, love, and second chances. So if you believe in stories that touch the soul, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share this video. Because today, we're talking about the heart that found its way home. Scot suffered from a genetic heart condition, a disease that made his heart beat 10,000 times faster, more than it should a day. That's 10,000 extra heartbeats, 10,000 little reminders that time was running out. His father suffered from the same condition, and unfortunately passed away while waiting for a heart transplant when Scot was 16 years old. He never forgot that moment. He knew what it meant to run out of time. And years later, when he got the virus in 2021, his own heart began to fail in the exact same way. But now he was a father with 4 kids, and each heartbeat made it feel even heavier. He went to the hospital in February 2024 when the call came in. A donor heart had been found. The surgery was long as it was dangerous. The doctors replaced his failing heart with the one they had just been taken from a man whose family was grieving. When Scot opened up his eyes days later, he wasn't just alive, he was carrying someone else's life inside him. Later on, Scot would tell ESPN, "The fact that I got to be a dad for as long as I can was completely worth it." But there was something inside him that felt incomplete. He didn't know who had saved him, and he didn't know the story behind the heart beating in his chest. 5 months after the transplant, he couldn't hold it any longer. He decided to reach out, even though his organ donation process is usually anonymous. So he began to write. "My name is Scot, and I live in Indiana," he wrote. "I'm writing this letter to express my family's unending appreciation for your loved one's gift of life." He went on, "We want you to know that your loved one's heart is going to be loved and cared for, and will give love back." Scot promised to raise awareness for the organ donation, and he does on Instagram, to make that heart story live on. "Your loved one is now our hero," he ended, "and he will live on forever through me." He put this letter and then sent it to the hospital, and then he waited. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and then silence. 3 months later, when he had almost given up hope, an email arrived. It was from a lady named Pamela, the wife of the heart donor, and her husband's name was Casey Engel. Pamela wrote, "Thank you for carrying it with that big heart of his. We are grateful to know that he is loved and will continue to give love." She added that Casey's gift had inspired members of their own family to register as organ donors too. In an interview with ESPN, Pamela said, "You're losing your best friend, but somebody else is gaining your best friend, in a way." Scot and Pamela began talking, first through messages, then by phone. They shared stories, one from this one side of loss and the other one from the side of survival. And finally, they decided to meet. On March 17, 2025, over a year since the transplant, Scot walked into a room to meet Pamela, her 12-year-old son William, and Casey's sister Megan. There were no cameras, no reporters, just 2 families connected by one beating heart. They hugged tightly, strangers who somehow felt now like family. Pamela's son, William, shared stories about his dad, how kind he was, how much he loved them, how he used to play, laugh, and fix things around the house. And then came the moment that none of them would forget forever. They placed a stethoscope on Scot's chest, and there it was, Casey's heart, still beating and still very much alive. Pamela closed her eyes listening, tears streaming down her face. Her son leaned in, hearing his father's heartbeat once more. For a moment, time stood still. In that room, life and loss existed together, and love beat out louder than grief. When the meeting ended, Pamela hugged Scot and said, "It is an honor to let everyone know how proud we are of him and what a good man he was. We will miss him every day, but Scot helps us with that." Scot now speaks publicly about organ donation and carrying out Casey's legacy wherever he goes. Every beat in his chest is a reminder that life can come from loss, and that heroes always don't wear just jerseys. Sometimes they keep someone else alive. 2 men, 2 families, but 1 heart. One gave life, and the other carries it forward. Scot Pollard's story isn't just about survival, it's about connection. It's about how kindness can outlive all of us, and even in loss, love never dies. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Daniel Tells Stories, because somewhere out there, someone's heartbeat might still be waiting to be heard.